Hello, cheeseheads, and
Oh, you
welcome.
missed.
The game's still going on HG stream. What's going on, HG?
Region was clean through and put it wide in the last few seconds of the game.
What is going on with the world? I just, I
Should have
can't quite
scored.
get over. So, a 4-0 victory,
Yeah,
a win
not
full
bad.
time. I mean, let's talk about starting lineup. Any surprises, HG, or was it pretty much what you expected? You must have been over the moon to see Delhi back. I know how much you love that man, and he played all right as well. To be fair to the guy, he played all right.
I think with Delhi, to me, it's a question of if he's going to play, you've got to give him, a platform to do it, and we've got to play on the front foot, and get him to goal. And especially in the second half, I thought we did well with him. So yeah, I was pretty happy to see him start. I was just happy to see an attacking lineup again. That's the worst team. I mean, was on out there to on their throat and kill them quite quickly. So I liked the 11. I had no issues with.
Just getting a few issues with your connection, HG. I don't know whether you just want to drop out and come back in. It's the sound. It's just sort of breaking up for us. We are going to get Brazilian Brendan on the pod. On the video, I should call it. This is more of a vlog than a pod. Certain people get a little bit touchy when we call it a pod. So we'll absolutely not make the same mistake and do that. So we are talking about a few bits from the game. A 4-0 victory now confirmed. Just said it flash upon Sky Sports. I missed the last minute of it and then he missed a goal. HG is with me all the way from Vienna, and at some point dropping into the box below will be drunk Brendan. Well, drunk or not. This is going to be a quick fire. Go on.
Paula, did you see Ryan Mason's water? Did you see it?
He's
It's
what?
from Brendan's glass. It was
Oh,
this tiny little thing, like a hamster bottle, right? And you just sat there like from it. It was hilarious. I thought immediately of Brendan when I saw the size of that bottle.
To be fair, it must be a Spurs thing because Jose used to have the most ridiculous sized water bottle ever. It's like one of these, it's like a fruit shoot almost that kind of
Yeah.
size. If you have those in Austria,
It's probably branded some club water bottle, but it's the type of thing that would fit in a soup pot. What's the point?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so Delhi back in the starting lineup. You must be pleased with how he played today, and as you were saying before we were rudely interrupted, he really made a difference, didn't he? Today, we're playing on the front foot.
Look, I know that. I mean, that's the way we all want Spurs to play, but that's what we did when Delhi was at his best. So the idea, I know people have said he's best for 3 years. I disagree with that because I thought his record was pretty good. Even in that final season under Poch, didn't play much because he was. If you look at his goals, I think it was one every 3 games. That's pretty good standards. And yeah, today the first half he tried a lot. It didn't really work out for him. But according to the Sky commentary I had, furthest of anyone in the first 45 minutes, over 6 kilometers in the game. You didn't really know where to be. Sometimes he was on the left wing, sometimes he was on the right wing. A lot of the time, he seemed to be kind of him and Son getting in each other's way in that first 45 minutes. But for the 25 minutes he played in the second half, I thought he was fantastic. And that's what we want to see from Delhi. I mean, yes, Sheffield United aren't the best opponent. We've got to say that. But Delhi, when he's on, he looks like he's playing a different game. He looks like he's. We saw some of that at least.
Yeah, yeah. HG's sound is slightly patchy during this broadcast, so we do apologise for that. I'll get him to repeat anything that I think is missing. Bale, we're going to get to your comments as well, so please drop your comments and reactions in the box. It makes a change to talk about a win, a positive on the front foot win, no less. So do share that positivity with us if you haven't got one eye on line of duty right about now. Joel says freedom.
No spoilers for Caller.
No spoilers. I'm going to be really upset if H is revealed whilst I'm doing this and then I miss out. I can't even go downstairs into my living room till after 10 because the rest of the family are all watching it. But this is the commitment I have to the cheese room, that I will put my own personal interest to one side to talk about Spurs with you guys. So Joel says, freedom, what a difference. I think it was just pleasant to watch us play on the front foot, wasn't it? HG, it makes a massive change.
Yeah, and I mean, weirdly enough, I think in the first half we could have played even more forward. I thought that Dyer and Toby were almost 10 yards too deep in our own half. But yeah, the players seemed much more comfortable with what they were being asked to do, and you saw it. Like Sheffield United, we all know they're hard. They haven't got many results this season, but they don't make it easy for you. But I think first 45 was a bit disappointing because we had at least a couple more, or certainly one more goal than we did. But I think the triangles were starting to come off. People were aware. There were many occasions in the first half where Son and Kane, Ellie were showing glimpses of the link up that we know we can do for us for many seasons. So definitely confidence. I mean, obviously the next game is going to be much more difficult than Sheffield United, but to see Spurs do that, and I think that if there's a manager looking on tonight and watching that game, will be, I think, probably quite pleased about what Spurs could do next season with those type of players in the team.
Yeah. And to me, I think that, for me, the players have been playing within themselves a lot of the season, and we've got a good side. And this is what I've been saying. People have got no sort of belief in Spurs right now, no confidence, and the side's taken a hammering both in terms of confidence, but also from supporters telling everyone they're not good. We're not good enough. We're not good enough. We're not good enough. My personal belief is we are good enough for top six. That squad is great. And I'm going to come on to a point from Neil Williams, who says tonight proves that Bale should have been a starter all season and Potter for manager. Now, pardon me if I'm sort of sounding quite smug here, but have I or have I not made the case for Bale every single week to be included in the team? Because he can do something that only Kane and maybe Son on his day can do. He is lethal when he gets a chance. He is great from set pieces, and he has a presence that scares defenders. And he can hit a ball, can't he? He can really hit a ball, as we saw with a couple of those finishes today. I mean, should he have not been in the squad, in the side all season, HG? There's been times where he hasn't been on the bench, and that to me is a scandal.
I definitely think he should have been used more. I mean, I looked up he's had 652 minutes in the Premier League all season. I mean, what's that? How good is your maths? That's what, 9 games?
Nine games,
six.
something like that. Not
Yeah,
even
9
that.
games. I don't know, something like that. It's not a lot, and he's got 6 goals. 6 goals and 2 assists, 650 minutes. That's pretty good going by anyone's standards. Yes, that may well include the 3 he got tonight. All right, I mean, obviously, but still, someone like Bale, he needed to have been involved more. It's tough because early on in the season when we were being so defensive, that doesn't suit him. So there were occasions. Why would you want him to be and play almost as a pseudo right? Because that's what we were asking our wingers to do. But we saw today that when Bale is given the chance to express himself and to be on the end and to make runs from behind, he can be lethal. So yeah, it's frustrating because I think we all know. I mean, even from just giving away so many points this season from winning positions, we all know things could have been a lot better.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bale certainly needed to have more minutes, and you have to think now, was it really a Levy signing? Was Mourinho dead against it? I think you probably have to say he was, and that's crazy because good players are good players. I don't think it should matter if you need if you've got good players and you need one, and we needed results for a lot of this year at least. Then Bale should have played more.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, Bale's actually got nine goals in 16 matches this year, apparently, and 2 assists.
Okay.
9-16, that's his up-to-date stats.
And that's just the league, is it?
That's just the league, and in Europa, he's got 10 games, 3 goals, and in the FL Cup. So he scored 13 goals for us this season, and he's only played 28 games, and most of that are half games and things like that, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there.
I was looking at the stats before they'd updated them. It's 9 goals in 727 minutes.
Yeah.
Only 8 starts and 8 sub appearances. That's good by anyone's standards.
Brent, I'm pleased to say that Brendan has finally joined us. I don't know whether you were waiting for the game to finish on some sort of dodgy stream a la Franco, Brendan, and you're about 15 minutes late to the party, but thanks for joining us eventually, mate.
Good to see you, mate. How are you doing? Hello, Spurs fans.
What did you make of that performance, Bren? Were you happy to see Bale with a hat-trick? And I was just taking the chance to be a little bit self-indulgent and follow up on the fact that I've been saying all season he should be playing every game. Does that not prove the caller was once again right?
It was enjoyable. That was probably the best word to use. I enjoyed watching us. It was just great to see us play and string passes together. We were playing as a team. I think HG said in the Patreon chat, which we haven't looked at like a team for a while. We've just been so disjointed, lots of individuals, but we could see something there. We could see, and we were going for it. Like first half, we sort of dominated possession and were pressing high. Second half, they came a bit more into it, and so it left a bit of space. And we saw with one or two of the goals and Sonic's disallowed goal that in both scenarios we are lethal when we're playing well. So it was just enjoyable. I loved watching my team today, which was great.
One controversial moment, well, there was a couple actually. We'll come to them. The Sonny offside we'll come to in a minute. The stud rake across the face, that classic shithousery that we normally associate with Eric Lamela. HG, for you, short, and I'm going to come to you in a minute, Bren. For you, HG, was that deliberate and a sending off? Because, I mean, I sure as hell thought it was, if I'm honest. He was looking at him.
Yeah, it was deliberate. I mean, it makes you wonder what Lo Celso either did or said to make Fleck want to do that.
Well, he is an Argentinian shithouse.
He is, but it's sort of Lo Celso had a great first half. He was tidy, he was organised, but he wasn't really special. Yeah. And it was so soon in the second half that you must have think something must have happened, right? You must have thought that. But yeah, it was a red card all day long, and I don't know why it wasn't. I don't know what VAR was looking at. It's clear that he steps once and then steps onto his head. I mean, it wasn't even. Yeah, it wasn't an accident. I think everyone could see it wasn't an accident, but I guess they don't want to help Spurs, right? I mean, that isn't that the way that fans see things.
Well, maybe so. I mean, he did do him some damage, didn't he? Bren, for you, there it is. There it is. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. I mean, that strapping looks like let's put him in there as the fourth Beatle. That's strapping. Does it not look like the Elephant Man kind of thing? Is that a bit over the top? I mean, clearly he's damaged his face. Surely that was a red.
Oh, absolutely. All day. It was unbelievable that it went to VAR and they played it back again and again. And you could see he could clearly not step there if he wanted to, but he clearly wanted to. I think it was pointed out in the Patreon chat that he didn't go and apologise. Like normally when it happens and it's an accident, you're like, oh shit, sorry, and you check they're all right. But he was just ran off and was just like, oh, look at him rolling around like a twat. It was a red card all day long. And if the VAR wouldn't make, I don't know who the VAR referee was today, but if they didn't want to make the decision, they could have said to the ref, look, you may want to go and check this out in the monitor and you make the call. Andre Mariner, I think, is a fairly decent ref.
Yeah.
He doesn't stand out like Mike Dean. I quite like him. He doesn't make dodgy decisions like Oliver. But I think if he'd have seen that again, there's no way he couldn't send him off. It was a straight red all day.
I mean, and what do you think of the bandage job?
Yeah, it's weird. I agree with Aviva. He looks a bit like Tuchel. I don't know why. It might be the jacket, and it looks like with his hair, it looks like he might be balding a little bit. Yeah. It does look a bit. Yeah, it did catch him really badly. Like I saw him rolling about, and I was like, "What's happening?" And then you see it in the replay.
When I saw him rolling about, I naturally assumed the standard thing for GLC, which was someone's tapped him on the ankle, or he's faking it. But in fairness, when I watched it back, I was like, I wouldn't want to be on the end of that because it looked nasty. I can't believe the ref ain't done him for that. And I mean, compared to Lamela's sending off earlier on in the season, come on, let's get some consistency in the game. And the people who are watching tonight agree with me. CDS Coy, straight red card. What is VAR for? I'm sure there's a song in there. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Cameron Lewis says, looks like GLC's brains are pouring out. Yeah. Well, given some of his performances this season, I'm not sure there is much up top.
Oh, that's harsh, caller. That's harsh.
He was decent today. I thought he was fairly decent.
He was decent today. I like GLC. I like him. I think he's a good player. But he hasn't had the best season. Let's just say that. Right, let's look at some of these other comments. So George has got a lot to say for himself tonight. He's a bit critical of the team, so we're gonna like that. Before I come to these comments, which I will get to, Sonny's goal, HG, offside or onside?
If you need the lines, leave it be. That's been my position all season. It may well have been offside according to the lines, but I'm sorry. If you need them, he's level. If it's not obvious when you look at the replay that a mistake has been made, you leave it as it is. So it should have stayed as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, Bren.
Yeah, I'm the
Definitely
same.
a goal,
It was so
right?
marginal. Yeah, and a great goal. It was a beautiful ball from Toby. Oh, what a ball! But it was just when the lines came out, you're like, oh, here we go, and you just knew that they give it. When the lines have to come out, like, how can they know exactly then that is when the ball has left the other player's foot as well? There's so many.
There's a piece of technology missing, really, isn't there? If you're going to measure it like that, you've got to be really clear about the split second it leaves his foot. Otherwise, the whole thing's undermined, isn't it? So,
and that's why if you need the lines, like you don't change anything. I mean, it's that simple. Like if you look at it once and you see that it's not there's no obvious mistake, then you leave it. I don't care if someone can score with their armpit or with their left shoulder or with their right big toe or whatever it is. Like if it's not obvious to the naked eye when you're looking at it again. I mean, looking at it at a replay, you're looking at a freeze frame. If it's not obvious, it has to stay how it was, regardless of what the decision was. Because it is weirdly enough, I remember the chance in the first half where really early on when Harry Kane was played on, he was just offside maybe, and he hit it straight at the keeper. And I remember thinking the linesman put his flag up for that. Why? It wasn't obvious at all. If he was offside, it would have needed the lines to probably make sure of that. I just think that in many cases now, linesmen just need to keep their flags down, let play go on, and see what happens. Because if it's not obvious, why would you put your flag up? You've got to keep it down and let VAR do its job.
Absolutely, no, completely agree. Looking at these comments, Chip Kapowski says, and this is in reference to the Bale conversation. Don't forget how poor he played against Arsenal. I agreed he should have played against the bottom half. I thought Arsenal were in the bottom half. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, pretty much what we were saying, wasn't it, HG?
Yeah, we need to give them. It's like a lot of our attacking players need a platform. They're not good when they're forced to play 30, 35 yards from their own goal. We've seen that this season. Like Son can do it on the counter-attack. I think Bergwijn showed it in the first half of the season that he can do it. But Bale can't. Lucas can a little bit, but more centrally. I just think that Arsenal game, Arsenal played well. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And we never got to the races. And yeah, it became very much 2 versus 1, and Bale just didn't help Doherty at all. So yeah, he didn't play well that game, but nor did anyone. And we've seen, I mean, this is Spurs all the way through. We drop points against teams that we shouldn't drop points against.
Yeah.
And Bale probably would have helped us not to do that, if only by scoring more. I mean, the second goal today, he never looked like missing. It was a wonderful finish.
Yeah.
And you just think if a player is that confident and know they can do that with the ball, and he needs to play, especially when you're on the front foot and you've got most of the possession, which we did today.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, what else have we got? Very quickly. George, as I was saying, is very critical. Defence, not solid. Look fragile. And then the midfielder is never going to take you to a league title. He only speaks in two message bursts.
To be fair to George, like I don't think the defence were fragile today. I thought we were all right. Right? I mean, we didn't have much to defend, and I think we did fine. But the midfield, the comment about the midfield's not going to take us to a league.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not a league title winning midfield. Not the one we saw today.
Yeah.
But we'd have to strengthen, and we'd have to have maybe different options in the bigger games. But as we saw, like for a game against a relegated team or someone who's in the bottom third of the table, that 11 should be good enough, especially at home. We don't need. I think a lot of Spurs fans have seen what we did 3 or 4 years ago when we had a best 11 or best 12 that played every game, and think that that's where we need to go. I don't really want that. I want to have a situation where we have 18 or 19 players and we can we can pick based on the opponent, just like the best teams used to do. Alex Ferguson used to play Park Ji-sung in those big European games. He didn't play that often in the Premier League, but in the bigger games, he was always there. And that's what Spurs, I think, need to get. We need to get a squad like that.
Yeah. If you are watching today at home, I hope you're enjoying it. Thanks for sacrificing line of duty time and watching us instead. We will get to your comments and questions. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel so you'll always be notified of our live events. Obviously, we couldn't put anything out because of the social media blackout this weekend, but do subscribe and then you will never miss an event going forward. What else have we got down here? George, you just need to take some happy pills, man. The Bergwijn's money's lost. Poor performer. I don't think you can judge that from a few minutes of a cameo, surely today. Bergwijn. Let's talk very quickly, Brendan. Bergwijn, future at the club or not?
I'd say so. Yeah, his confidence was shot under Jose. I think they said this was his 40th game without scoring, which is really bad. I think the last goal was against Man United during the first lockdown last season.
Gosh.
I'm fairly certain that was his last goal. So yeah, I thought he did okay today. I was happy to see him come on. He did get about a bit, and mainly on the right hand side there. I thought he was good. He had a chance at the end as well, where it sort of almost fell to Kane. But no, I'd keep him. We've not seen enough of him to sort of say yes or no, really. But there's talent there, and we saw last season he can score some great goals. We saw against Man City, and I think that was his debut as well. So yeah, I'd give him the time that Jose wouldn't give him, and we'll see. But I don't think the money was wasted. There's a player there for sure.
Joel says Serge Aurier not having to defend and influencing the game into the final third. Bale loves him and they seem to understand each other. HG, make the case for us not signing a new right back then.
I think the case is, do we need to sign two? I would definitely sell Doherty because I think his skill set is so specific to a certain way of playing that we don't usually do. And so if we can get our money back, we probably should. It'd be good for everyone. With Aurier, it's a bit more difficult because he's only got a year left on his deal. I would like to think there is someone out there who's better defensively than Aurier and can offer just as much going forward. So, I know, I can't really choose what will happen in this summer because of the lack of money and everything, but I would be looking for two younger right backs and just to try and start again. You could sit here and say that Tanganga could be one of them, and I suppose I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
But I'd like to have proper fullbacks who can actually defend first and are decent attacking, because we know with Aurier he's pretty good going forward with the ball, but you just can't trust him defensively, and that to me is a massive problem.
So we're talking about Kyle Walker-esque players minus the sex parties.
I mean, Kyle Walker's not defensively sound,
but he can get back. He's got the pace to get back.
It's true, and that Spurs team was built so that all he had to really worry about was running back if we lost the ball. That was pretty much his only defensive responsibility. It's the same with Man City. He's there to stop the ball going over the top, not much else. I would like to think that we can find someone. We may not find someone of Walker's bulk because he's obviously quite a powerful player, but to find a right back with some speed, who's defensively sound, I think that's possible.
But Serge played well today, didn't he, Bren? I mean, when I think the way I sit and see Serge is when you're playing teams that you can attack, and it doesn't really matter that much if you leave gaps at the back, then he's fine. Well, I mean, I've seen him have several good games for Spurs. I think it was it Crystal Palace at home? I think the first season at the new stadium. Yeah. He tore him to pieces. I was there, and he had a great. I think he was man of the match. He was great. Similar to today, really, getting out wide, getting down the flanks, putting the ball in, linking up the play. But defensively, he's always going to be suspect, isn't he?
Yeah, I like him. I like players like that. Obviously, got the 2 assists today. Although the assists weren't really coming from wide, they were a lot more narrow, more central. His assists today. The preferred assist was obviously the first one. It was a lovely sort of flighted ball over for Bale. And the second one was fairly straightforward, and Bale just buried it. I was at that game. That's the game that I met you at, Caller, the Palace game, and we saw
Should
that.
have met for a beer. Should have met for a beer, mate.
We did.
We did. Sorry, you're not that forgettable. I was clearly that drunk.
My Twitter is that picture of us holding a beer, literally. Moosehead.
I wouldn't recognise myself because I was really fat then.
Beavertown. Beavertown. Oh, well. Serge. I do like him. He played well today. The whole team played well. They were competing. They were going for things, and that's the thing. I think Serge, when the team's not playing well, he will disappear, and he has a mistake in him, as we saw against Man City at the weekend. It was a very Serge challenge to make. Players going nowhere, bundle him over, and then they get their goal. But today it was good Serge, like the forward Serge. But I still think we do need to look at signing a new right back and shifting Doherty on. Who that right back is, I mean, we've discussed it on previous pods in sort of transfer pods. So I think Max Aarons is the main one, although they've just got promoted to. They just got the championship today.
If we were going to sign him, we should have signed him last year.
Yeah, they're going to want 40 for him, which they could have got him for 20 before. No. But yeah, I'd still hold on to Serge. I don't know. There's a player in there. He's got everything that you want from
except
right
consistency.
And a sort of brain and sort of knowing when to make challenges, when to stand off. These sort of things that make a good defender. But I'd still keep him and shift Doherty on.
Mm. Well, there's lots of Bale love coming through on the comments. I don't know if you two guys are watching him as well. Vibao says you can't expect all this all the time from Bale. You've got to give him a run of games, not just a game to judge his performance. That was Jose's problem. He saw that shit hit the fan and benched him. And he follows that with, Bale is a top-class player, and him being a bench warmer is a joke, which we've already covered, so I'm not going to come back to it. Phil Ambrose, absolutely scandalous that Bale has not started every league game and fit. I'm with you, Phil, all the way, and the stats back that up. Okay, there's a couple of questions about... you're going to love these, because it's what we've been talking about every week. Ariana, do we think we'll be able to make the top four? And there's another question in here from Neil, similar. If we don't get Champions League or Europa League, would you accept the Conference League or prefer no European football next season? I'm pretty sure what you're going to say about that. Let's take that one by one. I'll give each of you one. HG, you can pick. No, in fact, you can't pick. Would you like the Europa League next season, or are you happy with the Conference?
Well, yeah, that question, yeah, of course I would rather have the Europa League, but I'm not sure that was the question. If the question is, do I want Conference League or nothing, I have wavered on that recently. I don't. You? Well, yeah, usually I'm all about I want European competition. I've always said that. I like the idea that if Spurs want to be a team that can cope with the Champions League and with the top four race, then we need to get used to doing that. The Conference League is something else entirely, but it's a trophy. It's a chance to get players games. If we're only playing, 45 games a season, then the squad has to get smaller. Otherwise people will be unhappy. Yeah. So playing more games, as much as it's frustrating because you'll have less time on the training pitch, I don't know. I mean, this is it. I don't know. Europa League, I'm all in. Yes, I would take that. Conference League, I probably wouldn't cry until I find out that West Ham or whoever it is gets drawn to play against here in Vienna, and then I'll be really upset that Spurs aren't in it. But
and you'll still hustle your way in the stadium.
Yeah, I'll do my best, of course. Yeah.
So Brent, the other question: are we going to make top four? Is it possible? Is it on? The league table would tell you it's probably unlikely, would it not?
Yeah, I think mathematically it is possible, but realistically,
it's very possible. Very possible.
Yeah, well, it's 12 points available, and we're 5 points behind Chelsea.
Yeah,
I just think they're not going to drop that many points.
But Chelsea are only 2 points behind Leicester.
Yeah, I mean, let's say Chelsea's. Can I just say Chelsea's 3 of their last 4 games are what? Leicester and Man City and Arsenal. I mean, Arsenal won't do us a favour. but still, like they're not easy games. But Spurs would have to win all 4, I think, to have a chance.
Yeah, 100%. I think Spurs have got to win all 4. Chelsea's running is really hard. I can honestly see them missing out. Liverpool have obviously still got to play, and they would leapfrog us into fifth if they win. And Leicester's running is all right, to be honest. I think they've been, but we have got to play them.
They've got Man United, Chelsea, and us in their final 3 games. Don't know who else they've got, but yeah, I think that because they're so far ahead of us, it doesn't really matter who Leicester have. Leicester might get caught by other teams, but I don't know if they'll get caught because things like if we play like today, then we should win out.
Look at it this way. Just let me look at it this way. Leicester is probably the hardest game we've got left to play. Would you agree?
Yes and no. I think I'm only looking at Leeds. Leeds away will not be easy, right? Like we know that they can be hot and cold.
Did Fulham not just beat them 2-0?
No, I mean they did lose at the weekend. I forget who it was, but Brighton. I think it was Brighton.
Brighton, yes, it was Brighton Potter.
But that's just it. Like Leeds away, I don't know. Like yes, we can go there and win, but I'm not thinking about any other games apart from that one because if we beat Leeds. Fair enough. We've got 2 home games against Villa and Wolves, and then we've got Leicester. Okay, but the key game for me is Leeds. If we win that, then everything is back on the table. I'm just
spitballing. So if we beat Leicester, massive if, but I think that'll be an incredibly tough game. It could all ride on that game. If we beat Leicester, last game of the season, that then puts us within 4 points of Leicester. It is perfectly foreseeable.
Yeah, I mean, but we have to get close enough to Leicester. If we're there or thereabouts, like if we go into the final game knowing that if we beat Leicester, we're in the Champions League, that's all we can dream of. That would be a dream to have it in our own hands going into the final game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's 3 games away. I can't look there yet. I have to think. Like I'm happy that we won today. We won more convincingly than I expected because this is Spurs. If we do the same to Leeds, which we could, right? There's no doubt we can.
I'm so glad I wrote all of my predicted points tallies down to answer a question like this. I said Spurs would finish on 66 points and Leicester would finish on 70. But Leicester have actually already dropped more points than I expected them to at this stage. So that would tell me that it's possible that it is indeed on. We'll see. Don't rule anything out. I think all Spurs can do is just focus on winning every game. That's all they can do, isn't it? What the old cliche would be, we've got 4 cup finals, haven't we? Let's win them all.
It's just frustrating. Sorry to jump in. It's just frustrating that Levy didn't make the Jose call sooner because I think we would have probably picked up a few more points than we had. Like you look at Newcastle, the drop points there. I know if
maybe, but then you go back to the Newcastle thing. I mean, they've had some good results against top teams, so. I've got to say, yes, I agree with you on one hand, but on the other hand, I look at we're not the only big club sort of thing. We're not the only Big 6 team to be dropping points to teams like Newcastle.
Well, no, I think in terms of dropping points is one thing, but losing a game from winning position has been our problem under Jose. Yeah. We get 1 goal, and you just know it's coming. Whereas if Mason had come in sooner. And we've been playing a bit more front foot. We've probably got a few more goals. So it doesn't matter if we ship one at the end because we're already 3 up. I just think that had the call been made a few weeks sooner, we'd probably picked up 4 or 5 more points, which would make all the difference. Look, it's just frustrating. I know it's very if etc. But
ifs, buts, and maybes. So we're going to part that conversation there. Lucas says, this game reminded me of how Poch coached us. Makes sense coming from Ryan Mason. A touch of the Poch's HG in how we played today?
It wasn't quite as high press. We did try it at times. But yeah, there was a touch of it. I mean, it was a 4-2-3-1. I mean, that's what we used to see. I mean, Dele was going around the pitch like we used to see him do. It was very, very similar to what we saw when Spurs were really good. The team isn't as good, and so they couldn't dominate as they used to. But the players knew what to do. I mean, and that in itself has been a massive bonus because for a lot of the season, you felt as if the players weren't comfortable with what they were being asked, and today it just seemed a lot more natural.
Okay, that's fine. I like this question. This is just a fun one. Yeah, Brent, I'm going to come to you with this. Which individual is the worst passer, Dyer or Højbjerg?
You'd probably say Dyer there, but I don't have the stats to hand. Højbjerg, he does have a few passes that go astray, but he's not a risk taker when it comes to his passing.
He's a bit of
And
a Harry
Dyer,
Winks when it comes to passing, which is more or less what
yeah,
you'd
which
expect from
is
a DM, innit?
yeah, it's what you want. Like, and with Dyer, I don't know. I don't associate good passing with him, so I'd probably go with Dyer. In terms of had to choose between the two of them, but I don't look at either of them for their passing. I don't know if it means sort of ball retention, things like that.
Yeah.
Then you got to say Højbjerg, without doubt. You'd prefer him on the ball than Dyer.
I'm gonna come back to you because we've already had HG's thoughts on the next one, but then I'll let you in at the end to comment, HG, because I know you'll want to. Opinion seems to be a bit split on Dele. What are your thoughts? Dreads aside, does he still have it, and does he just need minutes? Brent, I mean, firstly, dreads. What you saying about the dreads?
It's not my thing, but I'm not a cool.
I can see you with dreads. You could pull that off with your little beer glass, you know.
Yeah. My son's hair's grown. Like he's letting his hair grow, and he's sort of using a hairband as well. It's 2021. This is what the kids are doing these days. So
they've all got hairbands.
Yeah, it's
Caller's going to rock up one day in a hairband, and you're all going to be like losing it, just losing it.
You'd be like wearing a sweatband, like when you just come off your Peloton. Is that I can just picture
that. Go on, Dele. What are you saying?
I thought he was okay today. It was good. It was almost like, you know, the Office, the scene at the end when the old gang get together. You're like, oh, it's great to see him with the old gang. And I thought he was good. Yeah, he did, like you said, he was sort of popping up around the pitch, snapping and snarling, and he didn't get an assist, but he put in a shift. And because he's been he hasn't played in so long that you're not really expecting too much from him. But I thought he did okay, and I'd definitely hold on to him. He's an asset. We're not going to sell him these days. We're not going to get great money for him. I think he did want to leave. I think that was very clear. He wanted the PSG move. So if they come back in for him and offer decent money, maybe that will force Levy's hand. But now that Jose's gone, maybe he will stick around.
No one's going to buy him. You can't say no one's going to buy him and then come back round and go, unless PSG come in, and then they might buy him.
Well, yeah, no one's going to buy him, but if Poch really does want to go for it, PSG actually do have the money. I mean, in general, in the transfer market, teams don't have money, and so the prices are deflated. But PSG, they don't care about money; they've got all the money in the world, so they can go for him. So, but I don't think he will. I want to hold on to him, but it all depends on the new manager.
Go on, HG. You want to get in there? Go on.
I just want to say something slightly controversial. Does this mean that Daniel Levy knows more about football than Jose Mourinho? Because it was Levy that wanted to keep Dele around and Mourinho wanted him gone. It was Levy that wanted Bale as part of the squad, whereas Mourinho didn't seem to want that. Are we going to sit here and say that maybe Levy knows a bit more, certainly in these two players, than maybe Mourinho does? Or is that massively out of line? Because we all know that if it wasn't for Levy, those players wouldn't be at Spurs.
Yeah.
You can't talk up Levy right now. It's not
right now. Yeah, I think like the hate mail. It's all right for you. You're in Austria. You're in Brazil. Yeah. You don't have to live with this in the UK. You know, they'll find out where I live.
I'm not saying that Levy's perfect. Of course, I'm not. Right? I mean, that would be crazy. But this is what the evidence would suggest. So we're sitting here talking about Bale and Dele, who both played well today, admittedly against Sheffield United. They wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for Levy. And who would we have had? Who knows? Marouane Fellaini? I mean, it's a question worth asking, but I think it says more about Mourinho than it does about Levy. Let's be true about that.
Yeah. Fair point. Lucas Lamperty from Brighton, a possible new right back.
He's a good player.
They just signed him. He's good. They just signed him though from Chelsea. So will they let him go after one season permanent on loan? They're going to want a lot of money. Sorry, you go, HG.
No. I was just shaking my head for anyone who was looking at my face. I agree with you. I mean, Brighton aren't going to sell him. I don't think he'll want to go. I think he's quite happy to play regular football. He's been injured for a while as well, so it's not as if he's playing that often for Brighton. But yeah, look, great prospect. I could see it happening maybe at some point, but not this summer. I think that Spurs will be looking somewhere else, and I think that Brighton won't sell anyway.
I love this comment that's come in, and you're going to love it too, HG. It's possibly that this has just won me today, and you know I'm a fan of Lamela, but bought Lamela to replace Gareth Bale just to be replaced by Bale, who got more goals than Lamela in the 8 seasons Bale was in Real Madrid. Absolutely mad. No comment needed, really. I just wanted to read it out because I thought it was
hey,
good.
Lamela works harder.
Tony early. We're going to move on. Beat Leicester last game, and it's 4-point gap. Exactly what I was saying. Chelsea have to play Leicester. City have to beat Chelsea now to clinch the league, so they're going to be fired up for it. It's on like Donkey Kong. And Cameron
if it gets to that last game, great.
Cameron caveats that with, I love Spurs, but we really don't deserve the Champions League spot given some drab performances. Are true, but then you could say that about Liverpool and you could say that about Chelsea.
And this is it. We've sat here before and we all look at West Ham and the season that they're having and thinking, wow, they're doing really well. We've had a terrible season. And yet we're level/better than West Ham, who have a more difficult run-in than we do anyway. It's been a weird year because we all know that if we end up with 66, 68 points, that's not a bad season. It's probably more than what we got last year, certainly.
And you know as well as I do that Jose will be taking full credit for that.
I mean, Jose can say what he wants. I think we all know that Jose is all about Jose and not actually about the truth. So, it's frustrating because there was many seasons when if we got 70, that was incredible, right? I mean, mid to late 60s was the highest that Yol ever, and we could get into that area in a season where we've dropped 20 points from winning positions. It is a what if season, but I think the what if we didn't have Mourinho? That's the question. I think the players, as you've said, the players have proven that they're pretty good, but we just never got the best of them all season, and that's the sad part because that's the manager's job.
I'll tell you what, it's would be interesting to go back and compare our points tallies the last few years with when we were really good in the 90s. When people sort of hark back to pre-ENIC those days, just to see where we were at like for like. I'm just being mischievous. I'm going to shut up.
We weren't good in the 90s at all.
We were great.
Really.
Flaky the 80s.
That's his point. I think that's.
Yeah, let's not bring ENIC and Levy into this. Let's talk about today.
I'm not going to do it. I'm going to behave. I promise. Here we go. See, as Coy says, just stop HG now. There's no backing Levy. No, you're right. Absolutely, we can't back him.
On the Super League thing, absolutely not.
I don't think we ever really back Levy and ENIC on this channel. I've got to be honest. I just think we're quite fair in try and see both sides of the argument, but I'm sure I'll be told differently. So.
Hey, look. I think I certainly don't hate Levy for what he's done for Spurs. I don't, right? I don't agree with everything he's done. I mean, you'd be a fool to agree with everything, and you'd be a fool to hate everything.
Yeah.
Levy has been good for Spurs in many ways. He's held Spurs back in many ways. And to me, the question is what can we do to get better? And does that mean getting rid of Levy? I don't know if that really would make Spurs better, guaranteed. I think we just need to make better decisions with the resources we do have.
Yeah, absolutely. Here we go, Brendan. One for you, Lucas. Do you think that playing players like Dele, Winks, and Dyer have been trying to increase their market value? So basically, are we playing players to try and increase their market value before the summer, or have they just been performing in training?
I don't think Mason would be that sort of manager to think about those things. I think he just wants to win every game whilst he's got the job. So I think his decisions, if it was him making the decisions in terms of the lineup, which you'd assume it was, I don't think Levy gets too involved with that, although there were rumours in his rift with Jose about that, playing certain players. But I don't think players want to play. If they play well, it's good for everyone. It's good for the team. It's good for their profile. Winks, he came on today. I don't remember seeing him do anything.
No, that's because he is terrible. Yeah, genuinely terrible.
Dele, who knows? I think, like we said, it depends who the next manager is. I think he would want to stay. I don't think he'll, other than PSG, that he'll go to a bigger club than Spurs. So why would he want to leave to go down to a team that's not at our level? So I think that he just played with freedom, played like he wanted to win, and showed professionalism in that aspect. So playing to be in the shop window, I don't think so. No.
Okay.
I think if we're looking to play with a number 10, we've got lots of options, right? It really could be anyone. You could put Lucas there, Lamela there, Dele there, Bergwijn at a push, even Lo Celso if you want to be defensive. There are lots of options for that number 10. When it comes to the central midfield role that Winks played, everyone and their dog thinks that Ndombele is better than Winks, right? And if you've got Højbjerg and Ndombele as the two for the last 25 minutes of that game today, which is what we could have had easily, why not, right? There's very little benefit to playing Winks for those 25 minutes. Ndombele, there certainly would have been. That to me is the frustrating thing. It's not to say that Winks is terrible. It's just that you want to give your better players minutes. We said the same about Bale. So why can't the same be true about Ndombele? We all know how talented he is.
Totally agree.
It was an odd decision both in the final and today that he just left Tongi on the bench. Just doesn't make sense. Like, we can see it. We can see that like he would have been very useful against City to break their press, to try and get some breaks on. And today, anyone can tell you he's a far more superior footballer than Winks is. It's just strange from Mason. That is the only really thing that I've been like, really, with Mason in terms of his lineup decisions. The rest have been pretty much spot on, but omitting Tongi just doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, we're going to wrap this up shortly. I love this one. CDF Spurs again. Only Spurs could go into a transfer window needing a right back when they came out of the last transfer window, basically. Having bought one and needing two. So yeah, last year was all about right backs, and now we need another two right backs potentially. So there'll be no. I think Kyle Walker will get him back on a free transfer when he's 35, and he'll still probably be better than what we've got right now. Look, how are you feeling? I just want to finish it off. We've taken lots of Q&A. Talk very briefly about the game. Tune into the pod, absolutely, which will be out obviously early hours of the morning or tomorrow at the latest tonight to get a full match review. I hope you've enjoyed the session. I just want to ask you to, HG, you enjoying watching Spurs again, and do you think this is going to continue?
Yeah, like I enjoyed tonight. Like I'm not one of those Spurs fans who's like, oh, I don't care about Spurs, so I'm not going to watch. I'm always going to watch. I may not enjoy it as much. I may have lower expectations than normal, but I will always watch Spurs. And yeah, the Leeds game, there's something on it for us now. I mean, this is it. We've still got something to play for. Every point will count. So even if it is the race to avoid 7th, it's still a race that we're involved in. So yeah, I'm happy. Like, Spurs played well today. We took a terrible team, the worst team in the Premier League, but we put them to the sword. It was never in doubt. And when was the last time we said that about a Spurs game? It doesn't happen that often. I did see today that Spurs have the 3rd best home record in the Premier League. They said that on German Sky, and I was surprised. I haven't looked it up. But if that's the case, then we are capable of beating teams at home. We are capable of. We beat Palace by 3 or 4. We beat Leeds by 3. Yeah. We've had a few convincing home wins, even in this year, in 2021. We've had a few convincing home wins. So if we can continue playing with a semblance of structure like we did today, we will look better, and I'll be excited to see Spurs play again.
And for yourself, Bren, once you eventually got hold of your stream, were you enjoying watching Spurs again?
I was, yeah. It was a thoroughly enjoyable experience, and it's been a while since we've been able to say that about watching Spurs.
Optimistic for the rest of the season. 4 games.
Yeah,
4 cup finals.
4 cup finals. That old cliche. I still think top 4 is probably out of reach, but I'm optimistic that we'll get results for sure.
I'm going to tell you something now that I've not said for a long time. Believe. Believe we can do it. Believe we can turn over all 4 games, get maximum points, and the other teams will let themselves down, and we can absolutely beat Leicester. There's no reason why we can't. We've got better players than Leicester. As long as Harry Winks is not in the side, we can do it. And thanks very much for joining me, guys. I just want to say what a pleasure it's been. For everyone watching, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel and join us again soon. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Vamos, Spurs.
Vamos, Spurs.